All right. So I think we had enough participant who gave me, some ideas where kind of what is happening in the outside world and what are the transition still. So some of them, this transition is still going on. Some companies, the transition has already been occurred and they are looking from the advanced thing. So we will definitely go with, the basic to advanced level here. So first, let's, discuss the topics or discuss those challenges that we see in the traditional environment and why this automation plays a major role. So this is an interactive session. You can contribute from your side. You can just tell me what is that manual thing which should do it. And I will be noting down over here, right? So this is how everyone in this session will get a fair enough idea, even though if they are very new to networking. Some could have just done with the studies and now getting into the and networking or the automation, and they might be confused whether to take up this automation or whether to take up a core networking. So if we set up this particular slide, then everyone would be on the same page, like what is the uh, high level of a automation. So can you tell me what are like basic things that you normally still do in a uh, traditional method, or anything in advance which you're already doing in automation, so that I can, pinpoint here and then we can discuss on them.
Yeah, Sagar. So actually, I was working in one of the controller, Cisco controller, and in that controller, what was that issue? What I faced was like I have to move like one extreme controller to Cisco controller. Actually, I have to do that migration. So for that, actually, what the challenge what I have faced was like. I had to like that was really a big site, and it was like around more than 100 switches which I need to configure that the VLAN, and I need to put all that where the AP is configured, that interface I have to put. Again, I have to, so this 100 switches I need to put, and I need to identify where that AP is connected. So it took so much time, more than a whole day. Actually, I was doing that kind of change it. So I just wanted to know, like, is there any way like which we can do it in a single push?
Yeah, so you are talking from change window perspective, correct?
Yes, right.
Okay, so when we do a change window, there should be two segment. One thing is called as, audit and scoping. So
Mhm.
the expectation of audit and scoping is, your network better before you commit something on it. So in this, you will fetch all that things like your interface, let's say device version, etc., etc. In the audit and scope. Let's say the change is about the upgradation of iOS images. So
Mhm.
whatsoever you need, you will do it in the audit and the scoping requirement, and then this changes will be proposed to the change management team, and on the fine change window day you would implement this. So this is how in the network automation we split into two three different phases, and we implement the change window.
Okay. No, so my intention is like, do we have anything like which we can I already identify, okay, these are the switch like that AP is connected. So I wanted to push that configuration, like that VLAN configuration, as well as the trunk and what are the VLAN should be there on that interface. So actually in one template I already I can prepare, and that template I can push it to each of the device. And so is it any way which we can, because actually I was doing that things manually.
Yeah,
So
that
I
is
just wanted, yeah.
Yeah, that is what I said. When you do audit and scoping, you are preparing an Excel or via the automation method, right? So
Mhm.
this Excel is what you're sending over on the change window using the script. on the respective devices. So let's say you have AP1, and on the AP1 some interface called let's say fast Ethernet 0/0, and on this you want to make a trunk. Let's say on the second device it's a different interface. You want to make a access port. So this Excel, which is the final copy of your audit and scope, which is what you are sending it on the implementation day.
Mhm.
Okay. So I
Okay.
gave you in the a high level, but what you do is you have to write a script for this on the audit and scope, get your report generated, and on the implement day there will be another script which would be sourcing up to the Excel and pushing it to the devices.
Okay. So audit means like I need to find that what are the switch, what are the AP, and there should be a tradition as well, right? So like,
No,
see, suppose.
audit, see, audit in the sense you will prepare your logic in the Python script that if you
Oh,
see this, then do this. If you see this in this, then do this. And the outcome of that will get generated in the this one. Let's say you are being asked to put a logic if the interface is up and down. So you will prepare a logic for that and collect what are the down interfaces of this particular devices. So whatever you want to do the fix, that you're actually collecting in another Excel file using the Python script.
okay. Okay.
Okay, so that
And
is called audit and scoping, where you are making a Excel with your final findings, where you are implementing something.
okay. And see, actually, what happened is like during that migration, everything was like done, and everything was like that user has said like everything is working fine. So what happened is like next day, a few of the devices I missed to write memory. So what happened is like after 2 or 3 days, like there was some power issues, and some of the device went down,
Okay,
and that I have not done that because actually it was like more than 100 devices actually I have few of the device which I have missed that. So
okay.
actually, is there any way which we can like for a few like whatever the listed device which we can get like in which device I have not done the right memory, or is there any way like we can push that things from like in a script like okay right memory so everything will be done
Yeah,
on all of this device.
that is what when you prepare a implement script for with the help of Python script, at the end you make use of a write mem, so
Yeah,
that
yeah, that I really, but because actually I also did that. It's not
Hmm.
like I have not done that, but actually what happened is like, see, when you do the change, that is like my regular practice. Like whenever you
Hmm.
do, like you do that right memory. But actually, for some of the device, we miss that. So, is there any way like which we can get it, or which we can fetch it, or like we can push it in a like after changing everything? Like
Yeah,
we
see,
can push it.
after usually the change window, we normally create some diff reports, okay, difference report. So
Oh,
on the Python script, what we can include is a diff library, and it will take your pre and post and give you an HTML output. In that
okay.
HTML output, you can see what is missed and what is added, and it will also show you the diff things over there.
Okay, I got it. That's
Okay.
really helpful. If suppose if we can have a diff report.
Yeah. All right. So, what else you guys have been facing the challenge with?
Hello. Hi, sir.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, this side Anil. So actually, let me tell you. Currently, I'm a layman for automation. So I was eager to know that in my infra there is multiple checkpoint firewalls are there. So sometimes it's required. We need to post policy, multiple policies on multiple devices. So for these tags, another team will be there. So I was not aware about that how to do all this, and they are also not going to share the knowledge. So I wanted to involve this to get that knowledge. And apart from this, there are multiple devices, including proxy and check firewalls. So we need to do health check every day, and it takes almost 45 minutes to manually do health check whether any device went down, whether any proxy went down or not, and how many devices are in maintenance mode, and any critical alarms are there. So, to avoid this, is there any way we can do automation for that to achieve this instead
Okay.
of doing manually?
Okay. So your challenge is with related to day-to-day services, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let's say for your first question, automate firewalls, which is a very common and popular topic. So see, there are different type of firewall interfaces available. If you talk about ASA has a very good SSH capable interface. If you talk about Palo Alto or let's say FortiGate or any Sophos, they're all built over on the graphical dashboard, which is over on HTTP. So if you go with SSH protocol, then you can prefer taking up Python's any SSH packages like NetMiko, NEPAM, PyNTC, Nornia. These are all capable. If you go with HTTP, then either you can start with the REST API automation or XML automation, or you also have a Python request library. Okay,
Okay.
these are from the this can do all the fetch, deployment, configuration. You can also adopt Ansible in case if you are familiar with Ansible, then you can go with Ansible as well for the config management. So this is answer for your first thing. For the second thing, for the operation or to see the health check, etc., etc., there are ways to do that. There is something called scheduled library. So if you put the condition in the schedule library that every let's say 5 minutes, I want to run my task of fetching the bandwidth on these devices, or I want to fetch the ping or a SNMP polling on this device. So as the condition will meet, the script will run automatically and it will give you a Excel generated saying that if this device was pingable or dead, or if it is having this percentage. So we have done this in one class for one production requirement where the student want to capture all the utilization happening in the Palo Alto. So we went with the reject solution, regular expression. We found out the total consumption going on versus the total CPU of that particular thing. We put some mathematical formula, got it in a percentage, and then we converted into Excel sheet saying that this Palo is right now 80% utilized. This is right now 60% utilized. So this is what the approach was. Okay.
Uh, for automate, you said you mentioned all firewalls apart from checkpoint.
So checkpoint is also one of the interface of SSH or the STTP, right? So how are you accessing checkpoint? Do you have the
Uh,
console where you log into?
yeah, MTS only. And
Yeah.
for any routing, we need to directly log into the gateway. But currently, I'm logging in through MTS.
Okay, so that's based on which protocol? Because when you do automation, you need to prefer the protocol. Is it SSH? SSH is available or HTTPS is available? What is
Both,
available?
both are available.
Then this approach will work for checkpoint. See, when you learn automation, it is irrespective of vendors. You only do 5 to 10% to in the script just to define whether it's for checkpoints automation or it's a Palo Alto automation. Rest 80% remain the same in this. So you have to first prefer your protocol where you would be running the automation, whether you are selecting SSH or HTTPS.
Okay.
Okay, then rest remain the same. If you're going with SSH way, you have a package like NetMiko in Python, Ansible. If you're preferring HTTP, then you have REST API or a request library. Even Ansible support HTTPS. So these are the way you can automate and get going with your checkpoint automation.
Okay.
Okay. Any other challenge which
Yeah, Sagar. One challenge, like what I
Tanuj, I think you have already taken your time. Let's give time to others, okay? So don't
okay.
mind it because there are a lot of participants and everyone is expecting. Yes, Sandeep, there was one question from Sandeep, Panorama and 40 Manager. So these are, you can make use of Ansible's Galaxy template for Panorama and 40 Manager. So there are quite a number of good templates to automate Panorama and 40 Manager as well.
So the problem with the Ansible modules and stuff is like we can't filter stuff, the things from the rules. So that's the reason if there is a way that we can do that with the Python, that might help us.
So let me first read your question. Okay. So finding the rules on Panorama based on server IP, adding the new IP to those existing rules. Okay, so you can make use of API in that case. With the help of API, you can fetch all your policies and you can apply the filter.
Okay, that's with like using the APIs in the Python.
Yes, using the request library of Python.
Okay, that helps if there is an example that you can show us or something
Okay.
like that.
Okay, what else, guys? What else?
I think
Whole,
building devices, like starting from the scratch, setting up the interfaces,
Hmm.
creating AAA groups, setting up TechAX, SNMP, so all these, and then
Okay, see, when you go with the day 0 or day -1 config, make a note, you should have a very minimal configuration that is available for you to start automation. The minimal configuration that you are expecting is the SSH reachability or HTTPS reachability to that box. So
yeah,
if you have this thing and with a valid user who can log in, rest you can do every other configuration. Like if you want to do a AAA, you want to do a VPN, you want to
sorry,
do a DHCP, DNS, any routing protocol, everything is doable. So first
yeah,
you will bring up the management IP
yeah,
on that interface and bring up the SSH or enable the HTTP. If you know, you can enable HTTP using IP HTTP command,
yeah,
server enable command. And for SSH, you can make use of that crypto
mhm,
RSA crypto key generate RSA modulus and
yeah,
enable the line
okay,
VTY 0 to 4 and transport input SSH. So this will get the remote access for the automation engineer,
okay,
and then you can decide going with SSH way or HTTPS way. If it's a basic iOS catalyst or a router switches, then SSH is the most convenient way. If it
okay,
is a Palo Alto or Checkpoint or FortiGate F5, then you can prefer going with HTTPS as well to start the automation, and you can configure all that said protocols.
okay, sure.
Like previously, I am Sridhar here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Previously, I did this once because it was created by someone else. I wanted to know how that works. It was just one line script. Once the engineer, local engineer or the remote engineer gives this kind of access to the router, it is empty router, just have access. And we just put up this one line script. All router is configured with all access list and
Hmm.
AAA everything. I just wanted to know how that works, this one line script.
See, what he would have done, he would have given you a text file. Was there any text file or an Excel file, which I'm not sure if you have noticed it or not. So usually what happens is all the config of a device, we keep in some, let's say text file, a simple text file. And this is our script. So in the script, it will only be pointing to this file. And as soon as you execute the script, you do not know what is put up inside this. As soon as you execute the script, it will go to that device and configure all that access list, interfaces, all the other things here. So that is what he would have done it. If you just open the script, see whether he's referring to any text file or any Excel file there. Okay. Any other challenges or any other things that you've been working with?
Sagar, one more, I can give quite a few examples, but I want to give you a basic one that I'm dealing with every day. So in my environment, we have got some legacy firewalls. Legacy because they're end of life, end of software support from the vendor, which is Juniper, and they are going to be migrated soon. So the problem is these Netskin firewalls, they have a bug which is called ARP bit flip. So what happens in these firewalls? This is they go with like an hardware ASIC entry and a software ASIC entry, and the software ASIC entry gets corrupted due to some buggy behavior. So we have about 40 of these in our system, and every day, we have a system that's probing these firewalls and detecting the ARP bit flips, and it comes up with the results. But every morning, I have to go in and manually reset those ARP bit flips. So I'm looking for like an automation solution so that I can just get the payload from that system, put it into a system, and it fixes that ARP bit flip for me. There's some very basic commands that I use every day, like clear ARP, including the IP and this, and that works. So looking for something like that. That's a very basic one. Yeah.
How many such devices you have?
Done.
About 40. About 40.
Okay. See, when you want to run it via Python automation, those should be reachable, first thing. So if they are reachable, then you can set
They
up
are.
you can set
Yeah.
up a logic in Python script to ping them first. Okay. If
Yeah.
you ping, you're able to ping it, then basically like on what condition you want to or
So
let's say
what?
you are able to ping it and you're taking up the logs like show tech or show log, and if you
Yes. Yes.
find a keyword there like reset happened or something, might be then you can put this command like clear arp or something over on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that logic you can build upon. First you ping it, fetch the log message,
Mhm.
using the if else statement, put the keyword to find your required thing, and then
So
using the netmiko package you can
we yeah, we actually have a tool that's already probing this, and that's coming up with the results like this is the firewall where the bug is. It comes up with the IP that needs to be fixing. We just go in and fix those 10, 12 IPs every day, which
Hmm.
for every firewall takes about 3 to 4 minutes to come in, clear that up, and check the results. That's it.
Okay, or you can do this way also. Say, for example,
Yeah.
if we discuss the last script, you have your script ready on
Yeah.
whatever commands you want to, and point it to one small text file. Okay, so now
Yeah. This is yeah.
you're telling that you already have a monitor tool with which is giving you 10 to 12 IPs. Just
Yes.
update those IPs and just execute the script. It will do the needful on them,
Okay. Okay.
right? So you don't have to keep writing something on the script. Just keep one small text file and update this text file. You don't have to do anything on the Python script.
Yes. Yes.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
all this technique will be taught in these classes.
Yeah, that is right.
Okay.
Okay.
And sorry, I dropped previously. I asked a one-line script question.
Oh, okay, I thought you were present. See, what I was telling is, what your previous developer would have done is he would have created a text file with all the configs, all
Yeah.
the config for ACL, DHCP, NAT, routing protocol, and in the Python script which is given to you, you were being asked to execute it. So
Yes.
basically, this was calling up some text file and then it was running out to the devices.
Yes. So this kind also will be taught in this
Yeah,
class.
yeah. This is a very normal way where we keep a config in a external file and push it.
Okay. And for example, uh, uh, I want to take out health monitor of entire network infrastructure like a data center devices. So that is also possible in this way.
Yes, it is possible. Health monitor in the sense the CPU utilization or what exactly?
CPU utilization and link, the uplinks are there, right? I wanted to know that it is up or no, that thing. And
Yes. See, I already told you for the health report, might be you joined a bit late. Already we discussed about the health thing over here. Using the regex report, using the scheduling, we can generate all the health report, which would give you an Excel file with, let's say, Palo Alto 1, 56% utilized, Palo Alto 2, 30%. So everything, if you
I
put,
was no, no. Yeah, I just wanted to know like the links are up and good. There are multiple uplinks and internet links.
Hmm.
Uh, I just even that can be monitored.
Yes, that can also be monitored. Okay, so you will create two different script for this. One script for your regular CPU utilization and another script for only the BGP routers, which is facing towards external
Uh,
ISPs.
so the same script will be used for all devices or
See, all devices are not connected to ISP, right? So why you want to run?
no. There are like more than 5 data centers in our organization. I wanted to do the same thing. Same. I'll check for
Yeah,
all
yeah,
five
the
data
same thing.
centers.
Once you develop on one data center, you can replicate the same to other with the minor changes.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so anything else that you've been kind of, what about the other people who have never been into automation? I hope this is
Uh,
not going on a high level.
even Terraform will be taught here, right?
No, Terraform is not covered here because Terraform is more towards the cloud side. Okay, so
Okay.
this is more towards network and security data center side.
And what about Ansible? Is it also
Ansible is
be?
covered.
It can be used on cloud.
Yeah, Ansible has Galaxy modules for the clouds.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So anyone who has not got what are we discussing over here? Is everyone on the track? Okay, let me put few pointers. So in a regular networking, if you talk about configuration, right? So let's say if there is a change window, someone asks you to create a VLAN or a loopback interface or a router OSPF configuration. So you might have to go to each devices, copy paste it from the change plan to the devices, right? So there could be hundred of devices or routers. There could be thousands of router and devices. So in this particular case, what we can do is we can just write one single Python script of let's say 10 to 15 lines, and then the same single script pointing to multiple routers, it will push it to all the devices that we are being targeting to. So this whole time, the whole elapsed time would be even less than 60 minute. Let's assume that not even 60 minute, but let's say all that pre post diff check, if you are even considering, it will take only 60 minute. But if you go with the manual method, what is the risk? The risk is you might do a mistake in the copy paste, might be the config of R1 with some loopback 1.1.1, might be due to your change window. While you do a manual copy paste, you might put it over on R2, and let's say R1 is already having that loopback ID, and on R2 you could just copy paste. Now there is chances of getting all that duplicate IP in your network, right? So there are enterprise who do not trust human these days, the network engineers. What they want a automation person or automation tool interacting with their devices. So there are certain client who will restrict the access to the devices. They only allow a automation tool. These automation tool will be prepared by the consultation with these client and the network team, so they know what is coming in, what is getting configured, what is getting out from their network, so there is no data leak as well, right? So there is there are factor beyond configuration as well, that is human error. You don't make any human error. The other factor is that consistency, the accuracy of the result. So that is what happens. Let's say second one. Let's say one. Let me give you one more example. Let's say someone asks you to fetch certain reports, a simple report of show run. Okay, someone needs a backup from thousands of devices. Now, I'm not sure what tools you might be using, or you are still making use of a manual behavior, but definitely if it is tool, then they might be costing you a lot of dollars. And if you're making use of manual effort, then definitely there would be a lot of engineers, lot of number of hours included for manual. What you can plan is just create a script, put this command show run inside that, and put a condition that every Friday at 9 p.m., whatever time zone, IST, UTC, GMT, CST, whatever time zone you want, run the backup and give me the collection in certain C drive of my network drive or anywhere in a FTP path, anywhere. And you will have the backups keep falling in that location. So when you go back, let's say you get a change, you get a some troubleshooting ticket, and you come to know that there was a flap 3 month back. Now you can go to this folder and you can find out those particular device, the logs being put up there. Or let's say for some reason your device uh, got a hardware failure, you got a new replaced RMA device, you want to put back the config. So you can take the config from there and put it back. So this is where that taking a backup, automate process all comes up. Similar way, let's say the scope or the management or your sales team wants to bill your client. Now, usually, how do they bill? They just cannot go and tell bluff the client, and they will not be giving you any new project. Right? They are also having their own technical people. So what normally the client or what this service people do is they generate certain quality reports. Let's say if I can generate a end of life report or overall my 5,000 of devices, where I know like which hardware I'm using right now. Let's say I am using, just an example, I'm using this device, or I'm using, let's say, something of this. Let's say I'm using this, and let's say Cisco has already given a end of life, and Cisco wants me to upgrade to 9xx. So this is now something which can generate a revenue for my company. I'll take a, I'll make a, I'll ask my automation team, get me the report. Now, you do not have to log into each 5,000 device to just point out whether this is this, or whatever. So what you can come up with a Python script. You can fetch using the regex concept, regular expression, and it will in return make you another Excel sheet with, let's say, IP addressing, the host name, and the current the chassis, or the the serial ID, and the hardware that it's belonging to. So you can give this report. This will take just 5 to 10 minutes. You can run it over on 5,000 devices as well. You will get a full-fledged report stating what is what. If you want, you can apply certain filters. If you don't want that manual process, then there are different type of libraries available. There is something called as Python's pandas. These are capable of sorting and filtering on the Python script itself. It will just, you just have to put the condition that from the output of 5,000, I'm only interested in this many devices, and rest of the things you just filter it out in the source itself. So only the required thing will go to the Excel file, and rest gets removed off. Or if you want to make your human brain into consideration, then don't include panda, get every stuff in the Excel, and then you just put certain filters and can be presentable. So this is another thing what you can do in case of such this is called usually audit reports. When we audit our network to see where are we falling back. So I gave you an example of end of life, but you can also think from the iOS upgradation, because you cannot go to each and every device to see on which current version they are running. There could be devices which are still running on, a very outdated version. And Cisco has already given you, let's say, 17.x. Might be some of them you have already upgraded, some are still left. So you might invest money on some application. Now that needs license. You will pay huge money for the license renewal. But if you go with the open sourced Python script, you can fetch a report, Excel report, which will give you a complete survey, like what is running on what version. And as I told you, if you want to filter it out in the script level, go with Python Panda and set the condition. I am only targeting 12 or 13 or 14. Give only this to the Excel. Or if you want a human brain behind this, then just take the file, the Excel file, which is generated, and then put the filter on special condition. Let's say only 12 you're pointing, or 13 you're pointing, or in within 13 only few you're pointing, something like that. And you can give this to the management. All right, so this is few things. Apart from this, as I was telling, automation you can execute in almost every network domain. You can think about the regular router switches, firewalls, SDN technologies like SD-WAN, SD access, uh, and the ACI. So there are controllers like vManage, which can be automated via REST API. There is a DNAC here. There is a Epic controller, and all your next gen firewalls, which is based on Graphical. So I'm not targeting cloud as of now. This is not about cloud. When I talk about cloud, that means AWS, GCP, and Azure. So in this course, I'm not discussing about cloud, because we have a separate course which is more inclined towards cloud, where we teach AZ700, GCP Info Network Module, and AWS Solution Architect, with the automation included there. And that is like towards DevOps also. It's by different trainer, not by me. And that's a different course as well. In this course, the target devices like Palo Alto, FortiGate, F5, Cisco router switches, SD-WAN, SD access, ACI, next gen firewalls. So these are the expected end devices in this curriculum. The curriculum I have shared already. This is where I'll put in the chat window. And as I was telling, the topic start from the basic. We are not straight away jumping to a script writing. First, we will spend time on Python theory. So in the Python theory itself, we have like 8 modules. This will take 10 to 15 hours, initial 10 to 15 hours to complete each module totally from the Python theory point of view. We would be going through the concept of data types, variables, the if condition, for loops, while loop, pip, regex. These are some of the things that we will be going through with the Python theory. Then we will get into Python libraries. Under the library, you can see I have put down some case studies, like what are the things that we would be covering. Let's say fetching out something from this, or making use of regex, or authenticating via the RSA key method, or making use of some auto-detect, multi-processing, right? So this is where all the Python related discussion would happen, which is kept in terms of modules here. And after completion of the Python module, we will get into Ansible. Under Ansible, again, I cover from basic to advanced. We will be going with playbook writing, YAML. I will give you some shortcuts to write this playbook, because this is written on YAML language. You may not be aware how do we start writing an YAML playbook. So I'll give you some shortcuts how to start writing. Then Ansible Galaxy is something which is highly used these days for Palo, F5, LTM, the the Cisco iOS related configuration management. And Tower is something which is adding a cherry on the ice cream. So usually what happens in Python, you write it on a backend tool like Microsoft Visual Studio or PyCharm. But in the case of Ansible Tower, it's a inbuilt dashboard. So you don't have to spend time to create a dashboard. You already get a dashboard by Ansible itself. That's a good thing about Ansible. And REST API is very important if you attend any technical rounds for any product like SD-WAN or next-gen firewall. The first question the interviewer will ask is whether have you done any API-based automation, because API is specially designed to simplify the automation. So I'll show you the complete process of creating the request API request on a needful tool, how you fetch it, how can you configure something using API, how to create that payload, what are the required settings that you need to. We can also, easily convert this API calls to a eligible Python script, and we can run it via Python script as well. So all that short code, the tricks will be discussed in the API block. And as I told you, there are new topics that we have introduced now. In the Python module, we have introduced some graphical making, which I'll show you in today's demo as well as something for PyAT, which is the patent, Cisco patent for regression testing. Say, for example, you have to test some OSPF behavior on a set devices. If you go to a device, if you put show IP OSPF question mark, there will be 10 to 15 different variant of OSPF. So we cannot fetch everything via Python script and evaluate the outcomes. So we need something, some intelligence, like if I tell that I want to scan complete OSPF in my network, it will run all the possible 15, 20, 30 combination of OSPF and give me the end result. So if something is bad or something is good. So that is what PyAT does. You just specify what to be evaluated. If you want to evaluate BGP, it will run through all 15, 20 commands of that particular device capability and give you the final result that BGP, this link is bad, or BGP, this configuration is not as per the standard. So that is what PyAT does it. It can also give you the data rendering in a presentable format with a very easy way. There is an easy way of creating the inventories. So that is what we have included in PyAT concept, or a complete separate module for PyAT. And then we will get into the certification point of view, because if you know, these do not have any direct vendor certificate. These are all from the production point of view. But some people want to attempt an exam and get a certificate. So this is what the certificate we would be touching: 200901 associate level. It's a CCNA Devnet associate. You can call it as dev associate as well. And these are again the modules that is being put up. And as I was telling, after every completion, let's say 10, 15, 20% completion, I'll give you a project one. After next 10, 15 completion, I'll give you the next project. And that's how this goes in a accumulative process. So at the end, it's like you're writing your own 10, 15, 20 script, and you're mastering the automation. It's not Python only, it's Ansible, API, PyAT, and Python included. So this is from the course curriculum. I'll jump into the lab and I'll show you some quick examples. So you can understand like how the lab environment works. How would you be getting a lab access from us, etc., etc. So let me just show you certain important things here. So our labs are based on HTTP based, which means web based. You can open it from even your company provided laptop or anywhere. You don't have to have a lab manually done in your laptop, in case if you're running out on a resource, you can leverage on our side of lab access, because we would be giving like 6 months of lab access to our labs. In case if you have minimum 16 GB RAM, then yes, the same thing, we will help you to deploy it on your own laptop, because that is gonna go with you for a lifetime access. Whereas our lab is for 6 months, where we have added multiple vendors, like we have Cisco routers, switches, Arista, some VXRX, ASA, Palo Alto F5 FortiGate Firepower. We give on the basis of request. So if you have the need for this thing, we will have some backend technical team. You will just send us an email that on your lab access you need Palo Alto, and we will add it from the backend, and then you can add it over here, and you can try your own practice even on the said vendors. Okay, because these are some vendor which not everyone is gonna use it, like Palo or F5 or FortiGate, Firepower, or these things. So it's a request based. So someone who needs it, we will provide them. If someone do not need, or someone is just still making use of router switches and some of this, they can still make use of these component. All right. So this is about the emulator. This is where we are keeping all our end devices. We can keep any XY component in this. So let's say what are the different vendors that we can provide you in case if you need it. Let me unlock the lab once. If I go to the node list, right now we have a couple of this. So we have Palo Alto. As I was telling, Palo Alto is not present. But if I give you it in the backend, then you can add it in this way. So we have a Palo Alto 10 series. See, the Palo comes here, give a connection to the DHCP cloud, and then power on. And this is ready for you to start your automation testing. So this is what the lab looks like. The more about the lab, I will give you an overview once I start with the regular classes. So today is just kind of a sample class or a workshop. So I don't want you to make this look very complicated process, etc. So it's very simple thing. We are giving you a ready-made lab. You don't have to build anything on your own. It's a ready-made lab. You will give an IP address on the browser. You will be provided with the username, password. As soon as you log in, you will get into this kind of lab. You just have to power on, right click, start. Let's say right click and start the node. So this is how the devices will boot up. So it takes 2 to 3, 4, 5 minutes to come up, because the boot up sequence, the image has to be extracted, the NVRAM will be looked upon for any running config, etc., etc. The process will take for the device to be stabilized. Once the device is stabilized, what we need is, because these are all brand new, there is no management config on them, there is no line VTY concept on them. So we have to prepare a management config. So some of them I have already configured, because I don't want waste the sample class. But I'll give you a basic overview on, let's say, iOS. If it was a iOS, what is the basic thing that I will do on a brand new device? I will first configure, let's say, the host name of it. Then I'll go to its interface. Let's say interface gig 0/0, no shutdown, IP address. In my case, it is all connected to this DHCP. So I'm giving a DHCP cloud. And then I'll go to the local username. Let's say admin privilege 15 password Cisco. Then I'll create the crypto RSA key, crypto key generate RSA modulus 1024. Let's say if it is a router, then it will ask me for domain name. So let's do a domain name config. So you can give a random domain name. Crypto map, it will generate those keys. And then you can go to the line VTY 024, login local, transport, input. SSH, and then you can close this and make a write mem. So this is what the remote, the data center guy will do basically on these devices. Because once he do the basic config, you can take the remote access on the devices. As I was telling, as a network automation, you have to first consider which protocol you are preferring to. Are you going with a SSH based automation or HTTP? In case if these were HTTP capable, then you have to put another command called IP HTTP server enable. So this will bring the HTTP protocol. You already have SSH capable. This is a very minimal config which you need on the devices. I gave you from the iOS. Let's say from the Palo point of view, if you were starting with the Palo automation, when the boot up process happens, you will open up the console, and in the Palo Alto, by default they are set on the DHCP. So by default you should get one IP from the DHCP of our lab environment. So you will get something in this series. Now when you have this, try to log in for the first time. The first time the username and password for Palo Alto is admin or admin default, something of this. It will ask you to change the credential. You can just change it up, and then you can make the commands like show interface management as well to get you the management IP. So let's say for example it has considered this IP. Then what do is you go to the browser and input this particular IP address and then log in, just to see whether your dashboard is working or not. And once you have this basic management done, then you can either go with the Python way of automation, you can either go with the Ansible way, or you have your REST API. So this is the approach for Palo Alto. And since I've given you both the method, this is for SSH. If you have iOS Catalyst router switches, you will be following something of this structure. Or if you're having a HTTPS or HTTP based graphical based, then this is of some structure. So let's say F5 or FortiGate, same process. You will boot up the devices. Most of the devices will have DHCP enabled. In case if the DHCP is not enabled, then either you can give a static IP or you can enable the DHCP to take from the DHCP server. Every vendor has its own command. This was a Palo Alto command. The same thing on F5 would be something like this: list sys management IP. Okay, something of this structure, which would give you the management IP, and then you will open up a browser and take the management and see whether the credentials, whatever you have set, is working fine or not. And then this would be the approach. You can make use of either Python or either Ansible or API. So this is something, a very basic thing which the data engineer, the data center engineer will do it and give you the access, because you are not physically present in front of the devices. So this is actually not your scope. But since the lab is with us, we are only the data center guy, we are only the automation guy, we are only the engineer guy who would be doing the things on the lab point of view. That is why this is important to know what is the initial setup process. So once you have the initial setup process, what is needed to get started with the automation? So you definitely need some tools now. What type of tools are needed? So let's say that you just started with Python automation. So you need Python to be downloaded. You need some ID, an application where you can write your script, test it, debug it, compile it, etc. There are multiple of them. Let's say one of them is Microsoft Visual Studio. You can also go with PyCharm. You can go with Atom. You can go with Eclipse. There are a lot of hundreds of IDs. You can also prefer going with Python's inbuilt idle, or you can go with Notepad++ or Sublime. but these are not very professional ID tools, which will not have, auto pop-up, or uh, when you hover on a block, basically in this, it will start uh, resolving it to a document. Say, for example, if I have PyCharm and I have something written over here, if I just hover on it, it will fetch me the document related to that particular block. So those features, you will miss it if you go with these kind of options. Though you can run a script, you can write your script. If you are a intermediate to advanced person, you can write a script, you can execute it. You can also fetch the same output. But in case if you're beginner, then go with something of this, because this will help you with a lot of features inbuilt to them. You don't have to pay. These are all again free open community of theirs. They do have paid version also. You don't have to buy anything or make a payment to take a full version. The community version of theirs is sufficient for our course. And this is also free, by the way. This is open source. So let me put the cost factor. This is open source. You can download the free community version. And coming to the lab, we need a emulators. So I'm preferring to go with let's say EVNG. Again, this is a open source, right? So with all the open source, or with the all the open free community version, we can get started with the tool point of view as well. So we have the basic config discussed. We have the getting started with the automation thing started. Now, how do we cable them, or how are they placed? Say, for example, I'll just open up easy way to present you. Let's say this is your enterprise, and over here you have all your different components: routers, switches, firewalls, proxy, controllers, whatever, all your network devices, right? And you are not physically present within this. You might be in a different corner of the world. So let's say you are over here with your own laptop. So how do you start? You definitely don't put a cable straight away. That is not how that happens. Let's say if this is in New York, and if you are in India, you cannot, reach them by adding a direct cable or something. It might look very simple in the lab that we just put some cable, but in a real time, it's not that way. There could be a lot of, ISPs, internet providers, intermediate. Might be our, let's say if I have a connection, it might go to this hop, it might go to this, it might go to this, and finally it might to reach my enterprise. But again, that is not of our concern. That is how internet works. I will only make sure whether I have SSH capability to these devices or not. So how do I receive the SSH capability? Either I might connect to a VPN server. If I have a any connect on my device, I will open that any connect, put the required thing, and I make use of SSH, right? And at the same time, your HTTPS will also get started. So this is what happens when you're working from home. Let's say if you're walking to the office, usually what happens, either the IT team or IT infra team are handling all these things. You sometimes even do not have to connect to VPN, because if you're in a corporate network, they already have a MPLS connection, or they might have a site-to-site VPN connection, which you are not even aware of it. You go with your laptop to your office, you get the DHCP IP, which is one of the IP from that VPN pool or something, and you just can able to easily SSH to any of this. So the medium for you to connect on the devices is always either HTTP or SSH, because these are TCP based. We never use SNMP, right? Because these are UDP based protocol. We never do any config, etc. on a SNMP based. So that is why we will not even discuss this from the automation point of view. For me, HTTP and SSH is a capable protocol which I can talk to the devices and devices. All these devices will have many other protocols as well, but I am only considering the TCP based ones. And again, now you can say that Telnet is also TCP based, but I don't want Telnet because Telnet will carry plain text. All my credentials, let's say if I'm making use of a Telnet, all my credentials are also in a plain text. If there is a man in middle attack, he can view my credential, he can see the packet. They're all a unencrypted packet traveling in the internet. So again, Telnet is not, I'm gonna use it. So I'll be focusing on SSH and HTTP only. Now I have the protocols with me. Now I will decide which one to start with. Say for example, now let's say myself over on internet is able to reach to the network devices, and I have figured it out if it would be SSH or HTTP. So two major protocols. Let's say the end devices given to me is a simple iOS Catalyst, which do not have a very good HTTP capability, which is more towards SSH based. Now I can consider either Python or Ansible. When I go with Python, there are libraries like Netmiko, PyNTC, Nornia, Nepalm. These are few of them. When I go with Ansible, there are Ansible Galaxy for the Cisco iOS product. So this will be my approach to start with the SSH capable devices. At the same time, if the end devices are not Catalyst, they are like Palo Alto, they are a F5, they are a FortiGate, then what would be my approach? My best preference would be to go with API. Okay. Or if my company is more into Ansible config deployment, fine, I have a Galaxy for that. And as I told you, I can make use of Tower to have that inbuilt. But do we have a Python method? Yes, Python is also a method. There is a special library called request library, or there is something called NC client. So using this library, there is also one more library called HTTPS. So using this library with the help of API approach itself over on HTTPS itself, I can still, do the automation on these end devices. So let's say Firepower, let's say Checkpoint. So all the next gen firewalls using this approach. Now, what happens to our square one? What happens to, let's say, these are capable of SSH? Then yes, Python's regular libraries that we discussed, that is also going with us in the case of these boxes. So when you talk about advanced boxes, you have many options to interact with them. When you talk with the very, a small boxes, the limitation also comes up. So this is what the approach is. How do you approach it? So always first understand the requirement. What is your requirement? What is your end device? And then come up with a decision maker. I'll prefer going with REST API, or I'll prefer going with API or with Ansible, or I'll prefer going with Python. Or if it was a simple fetch of interface and you're not well versed with API approach, then you can go with Python Netmiko package as well. Because these can the Python Netmiko can also fetch you the inventory, etc., etc. So it depends on your skill set, experience, and how good you can understand the requirement. Without understanding the requirement, don't approach it, because later on you will regret for considering that particular module if it do not have all the features for that particular vendor, right? So first you check all its possibility. If let's say F5, so you can go and check this three options, whether API has all the solution for this, or Ansible you have a very good solution for F5, or Python is the best way. Depending upon that, select it, and that is how you will advance it. there are very rare scenario where some enterprise prefer going with even two approaches. Let's say F5. I have seen people who wanted to have Ansible Galaxy plus Tower for all the config and the VIP config, etc. And API they wanted for the fetch purpose, because they don't want to spend writing playbook, bringing those playbook in the GitHub, etc., etc. Whereas a simple Postman tool for a API fetch can give you the result that they are looking for a day-to-day, some sort of approach. So it depends. They can go with two, or sometimes if you want for certain audit report, you can keep Python as well. So it's not that one enterprise will only deploy uh, only one approach. And that is why I'm also not considering only one approach in the course module. Though I have put in the message master Python network automation, but remember Python is very small in a automation world. There are too many other tools that's available now which enhance the automation power. So most of people are aware of Python, and most do not even know what is Ansible or API. So just not to confuse or not to make it look very complicated, I might have kept it Master Network Python Automation. But in fact, this course is not just only about Python. It will have other things, other ways of automating as well. Ansible and API are top major players nowadays when you come across with the end devices like Palo, F5, FGT, and Firepower. So I'm trying to clear your, the myths, the confusion, the basic things to get started. It's not to confuse. We will repeat this in the regular class as well. So this is what was the basic thing. Any question with whatever we discussed in this particular slide? Anything which you could not understand, or did you understand anything what I wanted to
I have one quick question about
yeah.
Ansible. This is not free. This is actually
Which one?
paid. Ansible. When you say Ansible Tower or Ansible, this is not the open source. So
See,
is it
Ansible Tower, they give a free license for 100 nodes for 30 days. Okay, so in case if we are deploying it in the lab, we have this approach. Definitely in the production, the people go with the paid version of Tower with the more than 100 and a yearly based subscription. Okay, and there is another product apart from Tower, which is called AWX, which is completely open sourced, and almost it's very similar to Tower as well, with some cosmetic like colors and the navigation bar changes in that.
Thank you.
Okay, so any other question, guys? By the way, I just want to understand, the things all going good? Am I keeping all in a same track, or someone losing the track?
So, Sagar, Vivek this side. So, Sagar, as I, during my introduction, I told you that, I have zero idea about this automation and networking, this or Python or Ansible or anything, right? So maybe, that would be great if you can just help me maybe in future, which will be the best one for the automation, for a specific vendor list.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll discuss that. Definitely, we'll discuss that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other question?
Yes, you mentioned you opened course details, right? There is many things. Would that be all covered in 20 days?
No. This is the sample classes are for two days.
Not this. Can you open that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a form module
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
14,
okay.
15, right?
Hmm.
So would that all be covered in entire course?
Yes, the entire course is for 2 to 3 months, if you're aware of it.
Yes, yeah, I know.
Yeah, so we are having 3 hours of session, correct?
Okay.
So I'll come to that. I'll come to that. When what are the timings and when are we starting? The day wise thing I'll come at the end of the session. So just let me clarify if things are good so far with the topics we are going through. Are you able to visualize what are we kind of coming to?
Yes, yes, it's pretty good.
Okay. All right. So guys, since it's yeah,
What is PyATS?
sorry, come again.
Python ATS?
PyATS, you mean to say?
Yeah.
Okay, see, PyATS are basically the regular regression testing.
Okay.
It's used by regular testing, especially by the development team. Say, for example, the vendors, especially like let's say Cisco, Juniper, those who are into the product manufacturing, they have their own softwares. These softwares have to be tested against some bugs or tested against a feature release. Or so we cannot go ahead and let's say if I want to scan OSPF in my network, there could be a lot of different commands that is possible here, like OSPF neighbor, OSPF sham links, OSPF virtual links, OSPF summary, OSPF database, etc., etc. With a PyAd, what I can do is I can say that I want to do the evaluation of my OSPF in my network. Now, this script will run against OSPF for all that 30-50 combination of OSPF and give me a final outcome on the screen stating that this is getting scanned up, it's good. This is getting scanned up, this is good. This is getting scanned up, this is good. So it's a end result where I will get to know what is bad and what is good about OSPF in my network. Some sort of testing. Especially this is used by the software developer of these iOS, whoever is handling them.
So I saw this. This is also in the list of course.
Yes,
So
this is included, correct.
so do we need to know any kind of coding?
No, no, you don't have to know any coding or any Python or Ansible, because that is why I said we will start from the very scratch in the class curriculum. Okay, so I will be giving you all the basic information in the class. If you are familiar with CCNA, that is sufficient for me to get started with other things related to automation.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Also, Sagar, you have
Yeah.
mentioned while explaining the course with SD-WAN and the component we manage, what kind of automation we will be doing on that part? If you can elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, I will be showing. See, SD-WAN, what we are considering would be in the sandbox, Devnet sandbox. So they have bit restricted features that we can see there. But definitely, I will show you the pointers to, let's say, fetch the inventory list or to fetch the certificate that's hosted there. Or let's say you want to fetch some collections for troubleshooting. So we can fetch multiple things, but I do not know if they will let us to delete or configure something.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So I will be giving you the pointer, the collection, the API collection that I have in my Postman already has different approaches to delete or post or other things. But whether that is allowed in the Cisco sandbox or not, that is a challenge.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. Now the fun time. I will show you some demo. Say, for example, if you see here, I have a script. Okay, let me show you one small script first. See, this is a small script which was written for Palo Alto. Okay, let me just try to kind of give you a line by line indication. This is a Python script using the Netmiko package. Initially, the packages are not installed in the tool. This is a PyCharm tool. So what I did is I went to File, I went to Settings, I went to Python Interpreter, and I have to download this package called NetMiko. NetMiko is a library. It's a complete library with 1,000, 2,000 lines of code, which is done by one of the developer, put up in the GitHub repository. So you know what is GitHub? It's a online cloud repository collection of libraries that developers do. Now what I'm doing is I'm downloading that using my PyCharm tool. So in the backend, there are certain Git operations that will start. Again, this topic is a part of Devnet. Don't get deviated from things that I'm talking. Just I'm giving you overview. In the backend, the Git operators comes up. They will download the package. All these are now downloaded package that you see on my scrolling list, and the package go and sit somewhere corner to your C drive wherever you have installed this application on your machine. So there is something called external libraries. When you scroll down, there is a site package folder, and if you just open up let's say the folder, see, within this, all the packages that I'm downloading go and sit here. This is the prerequisite number one. Your library must be locally, callable in the script. Now, whatever you see here, these are some script which I just have kept so I can show you as a example. Usually, these are not be present on day one. On a day one, this application is completely totally new. No library pre-installed, no script pre-installed. You have to start creating a project. So you will go to File, you will click on the new project, you will name it, let's say September weekend or something. When you create a project, it will start with a very a very scratch. There is nothing in that. Then I will start installing the packages. So when I install the packages, these packages are all in the GitHub, and one by one I have to download. Now I don't download every 100 in one instance. I will just download NetMiko. And if NetMiko has any dependency, let's say it has dependency internally, let's say text FXM, HCP module, or any other packages, then NetMiko will automatically download and give us. So let's say when I download NetMiko, I will see it ending up with 10 downloaded libraries, which NetMiko needs to be complete 100% operational. And what happens is they go and sit in the local drive. Now, any packages that we are supposed to be writing the script, they need to be present in a local drive, because that is why we are then going to call them. In the line number one, we have to call these packages. Without the packages, you cannot write any script. It's making no sense for you, because everything depends on Python is because of that library. If no library called, nothing is doable on the script. These are just making no sense for you. It will not execute at all. It will give you error that what is this, I am not sure about this. So first thing you do is call that library. Okay, once you call the library, then you must be master to understand how that library is being designed. Every developer has his own taste of writing a library. He might uh, he might write multiple features list. Let's say one feature to deal with file transfer, one feature to deal with the send command, could be the configuration line, could be fetching of something, could be file push or file download, could be handling some error, could be, there are a lot of features that is been added. So how do we check? I'll give you simple way. Let's say if you go with the first library, let's say NetMiko API, or let's say NetMiko documentation. So here you will start reading the different features that this particular developer might have had in his mind while creating a set of collections for let's say for our purpose. So let me show you. See, so let's say you wanted to take the initial SSH connectivity. This is where he designed it. Later on, let's say, for example, you wanted to deal something with the file transfer from your system to the device or from the device to the local machine. So he has created a block for it. See, this is again file transfer. Similar way, you wanted to see the progress ratio. What is the percentage of file downloaded or uploaded? Redispatch is a feature list where, let's say, you're connecting to the terminal server first, and from terminal server, you're making a second connection to the devices. See, this is where the base connection comes. You will define all your IP addressing. So he has put the keyword. Now you cannot give on your script like IP addressing. If you see here, I've I've followed certain thumb rules. I went with IP, I went with device type, I went with username, I went with password. I could have gone with IP address, I could have gone with device type, I could have gone with just user, I could have gone with password. Will it work? It will not work because I have decided to go with Netmiko. Then I have to go and follow what Netmiko is being designed with. So I have to know its in and out detail. So I have to know that the developer of Netmiko has been hard coded with only IP, only host, only username, only password. So these are all case sensitive. You cannot make a typo in the script while you calling these things. Okay. So how do we get started with the documentation? Every library has their documentation. Say, for example, when you go into PyNTC documentation. So a best listed library is one which is, having a good community support, is having a good documentation, so that when you adopt it, you are not always stuck on something and always depend on that developer to get the answer. If you have the documentation, you can read it and you can proceed it with your your own flexibility. So any Python libraries, if you kind of look for, they all will have their documentation. So that is again another important consideration when you go whether with API or Python or Ansible. And again, within Python you might have 5-6 different libraries doing the same thing. So this becomes a decision maker. Which one is having a better documentation, which is easy to follow, which has a good active community? If I raise a ticket with them, I can get some support from any contributor or any other participants. So these are all a decision maker. It's simple as like when you download an app from your Play Store or iOS store, you might let's say search for music player. You can get 10 to 20 recommendation. Some could be paid, some could be free. So under free as well, you do a lot of analysis. If the UI is good, if the features are easy, if it's bug free, you will go and read the review, people praising it or people complaining it, and all those decision makers factors will decide which player you want it, right? Same goes with the library as well. When we decide with SSH, there are 10-20 different packages available, but we need to know different factor. One could be the support, one could be the documentation, one could be how much time it takes to execute on thousands of device. One could be if they support multi-vendor. Some of them support only 5 to 6 multi-vendor. Netmiko can support 30 plus multi-vendor, right? So these are all the decision maker when you decide for Python libraries. Any question, Santosh? You have lifted your, I can see thumbs up. So,
Oh yeah, I have a couple questions. What's the difference between a package and library? And the
it
second
is
thing is,
same. It is same package, library, module. You can all refer to library itself.
okay, sounds good. Can we prompt, like, can we make a script to prompt for the IP and username and password?
Yeah. It's all doable. It's very basic. I'll be showing that as well. Okay.
Okay, and what about the dynamic inventory?
It is also doable. Okay, which we can fetch it from the regular expressions.
Okay, sounds good. That's all I need.
Okay. All right, so let me continue because I know most of your questions would be answered while I give you the presentation. So this is all hard coded and all predefined keys. I have given my variables. Variables are nothing but my data that I have stored with one-to-one mapping. This is a dictionary type. It's called Python's dictionary data type. Then I'm giving this to the function called connect handler to process to initiate my SSH. I'm expecting my SSH is being successful with whatever information I've given. If the information is given bad or if something is bad, I will get a error message saying that login issue or timeout issue or a SSH not working issue. If the SSH is good, then I can push out some commands and fetch the output for the same. Say, for example, let's say this was for Palo Alto. What I will do is I will convert it for a Cisco iOS. So you will understand it is just that the script remains same for vendors, but just with 5 to 10 basic things, you can convert a script from Palo to even Cisco iOS. So device type, how did I come to know? Let me give you a clue now. Let's say I'm not sure about the device type because it supports 30 plus vendors. Let me find the IP from, let's say, one of these devices. Show IP int brief is giving out 12. Credentials and username, if you remember, we did that management and we have set this local. Now I'm expecting SSH is established at this point. This is definitely was a Palo Alto command. So let me go with something like show IP int brief command, which is for Cisco iOS. And if I want to configure something, then I can also configure like let's say logging host 6.6.6. Okay. And let's say this is again a Palo Alto command, and I'm taking the print of whatever I want to fetch and whatever I wanted to configure. So to run this script, I will right click on this and there is an option called run. And you just, you can kind of uplift this output terminal. So you can see the suggestions of the device type in a outcomes. It will say that on the line number 8, there is some error. So what is line number 8? The line number 8 was this. So basically this detail, this whole detail, you were actually giving it out to this one, correct? And it is pointing the error on line number 8 saying that we are giving it a device type which is a unrecognized or a non-standard or a not supported device type. So that is how this developer has coded it in his block. If I show you, let's say SSH, let's say the connect handler, you can expand the source code. You will read the same error message that we received. See, if we keep any unknown or non-supported device type, it's gonna give me unsupported device type. Currently, this platform is only supported, and you can see the same error message over here. Unsupported device type currently so and so. So this is all like a blueprint which is developed by the developer. Now using that blueprint, we are writing the small child scripts. So we are not writing a complete library of ours. The already the blueprint is available. I'm just following the blueprint to develop my own child script to fetch something. So when I am following that blueprint, I cannot make a mistake. I cannot keep this because the blueprint is not aware of what y is. So I have to pick one thing which that blueprint can recognize. So let's say this is Cisco iOS, because there are a lot of Cisco other supported vendors, if you see here. And since I'm a network engineer, I know what type it is. It's not a FTD, it's not a Nexus, it's not a WLC, XC or XR. I know it's a iOS type that I'm right now dealing with. So I'll copy that and I'll keep it here so that it follows up my blueprint as per NetMiko package. Now, when I run this, If things are good, then I will start fetching out the detail. So I have my configuration that I did. It's successfully configured. And I also wanted to fetch certain things. So I have fetched it. So if you make some more addition, let's say over here, you can also add a list. You can just say that you want to create a new loopback interface, and you want to assign an IP address to that. So let's say 101.101.101.101.255.2. Okay, sorry, I did a mistake with the octet. Let me remove them. Okay. So let's say I want to configure this, and then I will do the fresh show IP in brief, and then I want to see if something comes up or not. How do I run? I will right click and run this. Okay. So what have we done? We have loopback. Okay, 1 second. What I will do is I'll keep this line in the next line, because what is happening, it's only taking the pre for us, not the post. I want this to get executed once after configuration is done. So let me also tell you, Python is a interpreter language. Interpreter in the sense, you know, the concept of ACL and NAT in networking. Let's say if one packet comes and if it has to be checked upon the access list, the router follows a pattern. It will check the first access list in the sequence 1, then go to sequence 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, 10, 15, 100, right? So from top to bottom, it is going to see the match found or not. Similar way, the Python is also following a line by line execution. So it is executing this, it will execute this, it is coming this. So if you keep this on top, and if you execute some changes on the next step, how are you kind of expecting that this will give you the newly made changes, right? So you should keep it at the bottom after the config is made. So only it will capture the new resulting output. If you see that, if you keep that on the top, you were not able to see that loopback, even though loopback was configured. So just to reiterate, I'll redo the process and you will see the config now. So we did the configuration that was from the line number 10 of our script. The configuration got pushed, and then I'm taking the fresh show IP in brief, and I can see the loopback being generated. Okay. So Python is an interpreter language where line by line execution happens, very similar to your ACL and NAT rule. Even the NAT rule has the same thing. You have that concept of that auto NAT, manual NAT. So auto NAT comes on the top, which are first executed, then comes the manual NAT. So it follows some process. It's not that one packet come, all 100 are getting at matched at a single fraction of second. They go in a line by line from top to bottom order. So similar way the Python script are. So when you're calling something, make sure it's on the top. Say for example, you're calling out this, but if you by mistakenly would not know the basic and would have kept it here, it will not work now. See, you can just try. Now what it is giving an error, it's giving a name error that device 123 on the line 2 is not recognized, though you have called it. So the point is you cannot keep them shuffled in any order. You should follow a approach while you write a Python script. So you keep it over here. So that will fix that issue. Okay, so this is a basic script to fetch, let's say, to fetch and to config. Now I will give you some more examples. Let's say this script, in this script, this is bit lengthy script. The approach was, if the device fails, let's say if I have 100 device, if some of the device fails due to any reason, the script should not stop. The problem with the Python script are, as soon as they see a device is not working, the script will instantly fail without going to the next set of devices, which is not good, because we already have let's say in automation or network side, we will always deal with more than one or two or 10, 15, 100 of device. But let's say the second or third device is having any issue, credential issue, or the second IP given to you is a wrong IP or something, the script will fail. That is why I have put some exceptional scenarios. I've put some exceptional scenarios saying that if the device is failing due to reachability issue or authentication issue or a SSH key, the script should not fail. It should still go with the next one. As well as I have also kept another feature in the script, which is called multiple failed attempt. That means, let's say if I remove this credential and make this a user-based thing, that means it should prompt the user to input the password. And let's say if the user type a wrong password for some typo, the script will stop instantly, giving you some error. But if you know the concept of the actual vendors, they give you certain multiple failed attempts, right? If you put a wrong credential, what happens? It will ask you next time, can you enter the credential the next time? Let's say if you put a typo again, then it should ask you for one more time. So every vendor has that. Even Cisco gives you 4 to 5 attempts. So that feature I have included with something called error handling using try except block. So I say that if it's successfully done, then do the operation, do whatsoever is asked. You push the config, you fetch the config. But if the attempt is not good, then increase by one more attempt, go with the next attempt now. So I have put a condition here. I want 4 attempts. So I've put some sort of logic in the script. I say that if the first is not good, go with the second. If the second is not good, go with third and then fourth. And if all the 4 attempts are not good, then take the next device IP and then keep moving. Don't terminate the script. But there is again a logic that you need to consider. If the attempt is good at third one or fourth one, do you still want to keep continuing with the password entry? No. For that, I have put a if logic. If I see a successful login, then take me out from that third, fourth, fifth unnecessarily attempt and do my job, and then go to the next device as soon as is possible. So 2 to 3 features logic is added up in one single script. Also, there is one more logic that is being added here. That was this is not a very usual scenario where we keep a device IP, because let's say the device IP was given to us from the management and it says Excel or a CSV file. So we are reading basically from a Excel file. So where are this Excel file? Let me show you. So is this the one 123.xlx? Yeah, this is the one. So let's say if the management has given me a complete see, this was also the task what we discussed in the beginning of today's discussion. If we have something in an Excel sheet, this access point, this interface, this to be fetched, this login, the next access point, this configuration, how would we push it? So this is what the solution is. So let's say we have an Excel. I have one device. I have its credentials here. I want to configure this config on that particular device. When I go to the next device, I have its own credential, its own set of config. IPs cannot be identical. They have to be different. On the first one, let's say it's already trunk. I don't want to configure trunk, or it's already having the router OSPF configuration, whereas I don't have it in the second. So scoping, the first phase was scoping and audit. So there you will prepare all the, such kind of report. And in the case of the second phase, you will just source it up to the file and push it with one single script like this. You don't do any changes on the day of your change configuration or change process. Everything is done via script itself. So for now, to demonstrate this, what I will do, I will take the IP address. Let's say on my device, it's showing as .12. And let me also take one more device for now. So I can show you automation on 2 devices. So this is having .18. So let me update this file. Let's say this is 12 and this is 18. Let me once quickly check the configuration so that I don't end up doing any wrong CLI. So this is a working CLI. This is a working CLI. This is good. And from the next config, yeah, this is also fine. And at the end, I would be, let's say, fetching up output for so and so. So let me save this. I have the script ready with me, which is reading from that Excel, storing the data in a variables. I have my finite calculated iteration of while loop for 4 attempts. If in case I do a wrong credential, in case if the device is failing due to any timeout, authentication, etc., then I have this exceptional blocks as well. So when I run the script, see, when I execute the script, say it is started reading from the Excel. Now I think the password was set to be taken by the executor. Let me see that. See, so it is asking me what is the password, though I have kept in the Excel. But some management say that don't store the password, get the password for that particular change window from certain tool, etc., IPAM tool, and then do it. So for that purpose, I have, kind of put a scenario where it is being asked by the executor itself. So he will do the, let's say he will do the first attempt wrong. Okay, so he says that the script says that it's failing due to authentication. Let me do the second attempt as also wrong. Now this is also failing. Now let me do the correct attempt and the script should take it to the next box. See, it got connected, it did the thing, and where it went to the next device. It didn't go to the 4th or 5th iteration, even though we had some more process left. That is what happens in the logic building. Okay, when we call the term logic, logic is nothing but how you give a brain to the script. I have given a brain intelligence to the script. If I'm successfully logged in, then I don't want to go with the iteration process of entering the password. It should go to the next device. Okay, now I'm in the next device. I will, let's say, put the credentials, etc., and then it will go into the process and it's done. So something like this. This is what is one of the example. So any doubt with this? Any doubt to understand what we did? What was the expectation from here? All good? Give me thumbs up if it's all good.
All good. All good.
Okay. How about others? Some more confirmation before I proceed. Okay.
This
Yeah, go ahead.
This script, will you provide this script to us?
See, how it works in the regular class is we start writing all line to line. Okay, and after writing up complete script, I usually prepare a document in the same live class, and whatever the working script that we have discussed in the script, I'll give it in this format to you, so that after the class you want to kind of practice, you want to make any changes to this as per your production scenario, you can feel free to do that. So that is what I follow in the classes. Okay, so they are written from scratch from the very first line with all the things in a proper line by line. Some scripts are just 5 to 10 lines. Some script will go even to 70, 80 lines as well. So that is the process I follow in classes. Okay, so since today is sample class, I am not sure how many knows basic Python, so don't want to kind of spend writing 70 lines and then people dropping out thinking, what am I even counting in the sample class. Okay, so some of my script which we discussed in live class, which I see is a value added, I'm kind of demonstrating here. Okay, now one more example. I'm going with the graphical example now. See, Python is a backend tool. Let me tell you, backend tool in the sense it do not have a front face, it do not have a front end, no graphical interface. People have to write 70 lines of script. Now, not cup of not cup of tea for everyone. People do not have expertise writing all 70 lines. But let's say if you are that person who has done a integration with a graphical mode with a small app or something, develop this as a package, given this a solution to your management, that I have a solution where even a interns or a fresher will just do select something from the drop down like R1, R2, R3, put the command. Either if they do not know the command, that's also fine, you can give it in a drop down fashion. They can generate the backup, they can do the basic show collection, very simple basic, the L1 or the knock or the monitoring scope is what I'm trying to tell, because they don't need to find the IP address from the inventory list, find the credential from the things, remember the CLI command, even to do a basic troubleshooting. So this is what I actually thought of, and I thought let me also get this kind of concerns included in the upcoming batches. So for the very first time, I will be discussing about some graphical thing. So I have two examples for graphical. One, I have preferred going with something called uh, Thinker process, which will give you certain a small app kind of thing. Everything is been hard coded by a senior developer, senior network automation developer, and he's also gonna at least give this Excel or this text file, and he can put all his inventory in this format. So let's say you have okay, for an example, I'll just increase the size of this. So let's say you have many more devices uh, in this. Let me just put few changes to this, just to show you in a high level how this would be looking. So let's say you have prepared all your inventories, you are storing all your device inventory. The script is prepared by you as a senior network automation engineer. You give a solution to your freshers. Now the fresher, what he do is, without knowing any prior knowledge, his job is just to execute this by run. He will not do any things in the script or in the backend. He has everything in this particular tool now in the graphical thing. How would he select the device? He would select the device from the drop down. Let's say on his TV screen, on his monitor, on the knock, he get an alert that R01 is having some alert on an interface. So from the drop down, he'll select that. Already the credential, etc., you have stored already in this. So let's say he don't even have to enter this. CLI command, his I have kept this as option once again. My thought process was sometimes he want to go with a very specific command, which could you may not have kept in this drop down. But if you know that in your production these are certain things which are occurring frequently, so you can make list of those commands which I have defined in my Python script. If you see here, I have put certain commands predefined. I can increase this to 10, 15. But networking is not only about this 10, 15 command. There could be something more as well. So that is why I've kept a manual process also. So he can type any of his own command for that particular issue, and he will click on connect. So when he do that, in the backend, the script will run, and he should okay, what is this? Okay, 1 second. Let me see the. Okay, 1 second. Let me keep only those device which is been working, because there is chances might be some credentials are not working or something. So let me reinitiate. Let me pick the this one. Let's say I type show ARP connect. Okay, so what does this say? TCP connection failed, incorrect. Okay, what is the credential? Let me check once. Okay, what I will do is just to rack the date, I will just put the credential here. Actually, thing is, I have made one more solution. So might be I'm using the same file to that, and I might have changed the format of it. That is why. Anyway, I'll just keep it as of now for over here. Let me rerun. Let's say I pick up one of the credential, and let's say or let me take one from this list. Let's say show clock connect. It's taking a wrong credential. That's why. Line 41. Okay, let me update this with this. Password is this. Okay, so I'll select one of the device, R01 Cisco iOS. Let's say I type a command, show clock.
I think the username that you mentioned is an IP address, not the admin.
Okay. Yeah. That is because the orientation has been changed here. Because I worked on another example and I considered keeping the same file. Yeah. So this should be over on the second position, and Cisco iOS should be on the third one. So what I will do is I'll just keep a clone so that I kind of, or let me create a new file for the same. So let's say this is for thinkter.txt, and I'll keep the orientation this way because that is how it's been coded. So if you see, first is IP address, username, and okay, device iOS is at the end here. Okay, and this particular file I will call it. Okay, so here I will say that it's this file. Okay, now let me run. I've done some changes as per this pattern. Okay, now it's fine, right? We have IP address, we have username, we have password. Let's say the command is of his choice, show arc connect. So you can see in the backend it got connected, and he was able to fetch it. Now what happens usually with this knock people and L1 team, they have to, do certain observation, take the backup and attach to the mail or ticket and send it instantly to the L2, L3 or whoever is the next team. So what I've done is I've also kept a download button in case if he wants to, save this quickly. So he can just save this. So this will come up somewhere in this directory. If you go to, okay, sorry, I was looking at package. So if you scroll here, somewhere here it will come. See, now this is a text file which is in some, let's say, some location of your C drive. So he can open up that ticket, he can just upload it there and he's good to go. So this is from the requirement where you're giving a solution. Okay. If you're yourself a developer, you can write your script and run it from the backend. You are not expected to have this kind of tools. But some solutions, sometimes you're giving it to your interns or your teams or something. So this is the one. You can go with, second output as well of your choice, let's say show IPR. And at the same time, you can also, let's say, on a like kind of a time constraint, you can have 3 fields. You can click a single connect and it will give you the output for all the 3 commands here. Now these are tweakable. You can add even 10, you can add only 1, you can do whatsoever you want. These are all the things which I prepared from my own thought process. You can also prepare from your own thought process instead of just blindly following what I have prepared. Now to kind of take the output, there is an option, select 1, select 2, etc., etc. So let's say from the show IP route, I want to, let's say, only include 101 network, or let's say only the S star, which means static route. Okay, let me put a different command to see the change. Okay, so you have show ARP, you have output for show clock, host name. So you want to save it, it's saved here. You want to save this, it's saved here. So if you open the folder, you can see all the 3 output here. So one is this, one is this, one is this. So you can just put all 3 troubleshooting output in a ticket, and whatsoever you want, you can do it. Okay, so this is from a small app. This is kind of a app. Okay, it's not a web-based tool, or it do not even need any Java or anything. It's very tiny, tool interface, front-end interface. Someone types something, you can keep all the list of device, and with certain things, you can fetch the thing. You can also do the config things from the same thing. If I come up with a thought process of sending a config, then definitely I can put a field here to push the config, enter your CLI command. So something, let's say the fresher gets in a notepad or something, they'll copy it, they will keep it here, then they click on submit or connect, and that in the backend process will do it. So I didn't thought in when I was writing this script. When I was writing the script, the requirement I received was for a simple fetch, because config, they have a different tools like Ansible or REST API. So they wanted a simple fetch, and at the same time, it was for a fresher who is not having any knowledge or expertise with the Python or any tool. They don't want to do any commit mistake, so they wanted a front face. Now you can just think about this solution to such team. So any question to understand this? I believe this is more on like visibility. You know what is happening, so you might have understood what are we kind of trying to achieve here. Okay, so let me show you one more example, making use of another front end tool. Have you guys heard about Flask by any reason?
No, I have not. No.
Okay. Have you guys heard about this HTML or PHP or these kind of thing?
Yes, we heard. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So see, in the case of Python network automation, we directly we can integrate with the HTML, CSS, but you know that interface are not that much supportive. Definitely, we can do it. HTML, CSS, some Bootstrap, some JavaScript. We can make a very good, a browser-based application. The problem was with the Thinker is it's a app based. There could be some things which are not very user friendly, especially from the front end. So we can go with the Bootstrap, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, which can, give a browser-based user friendliness when you scroll it, when you stretch it, when you open it in a mobile, open it in iPad. The resolution also keep kind of, uh, synchronized with the devices that you're using. So in that, what happens is you have to learn multiple languages. You learn Bootstrap, JavaScript, or HTML, CSS. Things becomes more and more now towards like software engineer rather than network automation engineer. So Flask is something which is easy for you to digest. It's also a front end language. So what done now is I've integrated Flask with NetMiko. NetMiko is acting as my backend and Flask is acting as my front end. So you see what will happen. This is a simple script which I have written here, and I'm making use of this text file for all the predefined inventories. And I have just put the logic here that if this is selected, do that. If that is selected, do this. Right now, when I initiate the process, there will be a local host server that will get created or initialized. So it will say that there is something started, some process has started. Now, as per the process, there is a link which is generated. When I click on that link, it will open up like this. Now, this is a web based. So web based, what happens is you can scroll, see, it will adopt with your resolution. Okay. And second thing is that memory that is on a browser, it's much more than a small app. Those app can freeze if you have a lot of data being collected, lot of data being sent. But if you do it on a browser are capable of handling multiple data. Some website has so much of videos or so much of images, but your browser never freeze, right? That is how these browser like Firefox, Chrome are designed. So that is what we can leverage upon. We can make a small front end over on the browser. Let's say I kept it very simple. I kind of kept the device selection from the predefined list. And let's say I kind of make a command entry, show IP int brief. And I click on execute command. Okay, so in the backend, what will happen? It will make a fetch and kind of get the output here. And same process, we can download it, we can do a lot of things, etc., etc. So this is what I wanted to show in the today's class. Today's class was just okay. I think my lost the reachability, but anyway, the purpose of today's class was to set the basic foundation, to give you idea about what is this 2 to 3 month gonna be about, what are the different tools, programming language, what are the things that we would be covering up, and a basic understanding so we can get started in a better way. The actual class is starting from from 23rd. So from 23rd it's going to be a locked session. It's not going to be a sample class or something. So in case you're enrolling to the batch, what you need to do is I'll give you this link. There is this contact form. So you can just fill up your contact form here with the appropriate phone number, email ID, and the region that you're belonging from. as per your time zone. We don't want to, even disturb you if it's a night time or a early morning for you. As per your time, we will reach out. My counselor will reach out and they will guide you with the enrollment process. Right now, there are certain discount going on. There are certain freebies going on. They will also explain you the number of lab access you will be receiving, the remote or the home lab setup, and all other things, basically what you would receive from the enrollment process. So everything will be kind of going with the systematic order. What you can do is you can just raise the concern or raise your or just input your details and we will reach out to you. The next process is enrollment process. And once the enrollment is being successful with the counselor, the third step is my backend team will start rolling you out the welcome kit email where you receive the portal access, lab access, the home lab access, etc., etc. And then from 23rd, I get the list of enrolled people. I'll start giving out the Zoom ID, and the people who have been in that final group will be part of the batch. And then we start with the basic Python first. Okay, no rush. I'm not going to start with any of this graphical thing in the beginning. We will go with a slower pace. We will have all these Python theory first getting discussed for first 10-15 hours, then go with the libraries for Python, each modules discussed, each case studies discussed from the traditional to the automated process. Then we go to the Ansible API, PyAT, the graphical thing I told, it's been added for the very first time in this session, Devnet, and the different project, which is kind of, in the process of the completion. So this is something what I wanted to cover. So if you have any doubt, you can please let me know.
Hey Sagar, just wanted to check, like, what's the course fee?
All my counselor will discuss. We don't discuss in the live class. As I told you, just put your inquiry and they will get back to you.
Cool. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Sagar, do we have class tomorrow?
See, actually, whatever I wanted to discuss, I've showed it today. So I'm not. I have nothing for tomorrow. So might be we are okay with the today itself. Okay. Usually, why I kept two class, because usually what happens, we take 1 hour of sample class. So I split in 2 days the same thing what I covered today. Today's was a lengthier class, so I could complete everything in the session today.
Okay.
Okay. So there is no
daily
class
3 hours
so there will
will
be
be
no
there, right?
sample class tomorrow. I have covered both sample class in today's workshop itself.
Daily 3 hours will be there, right?
No, it will depend on the initial days. It will be not 3 hours. It will be just 2 hours. Okay, and after the Python theory, I will try to increase the portion, because sometimes some script, as you know, are 70 lines, need more discussion. So only those class will be 3 hours. Otherwise, it will be average of 2 hours to 2.5 only.
Okay.
So this would be a weekend class, right?
Yes, it's a weekend, 8:30 morning.
Okay, 8:30 morning. And duration would be 3 months.
Correct, yeah. Before December mid, before this annual shutdown, we will wind off.
So, Sagar, sorry, one more question. So, if we enroll for this, like, will we have lab access or we can create labs at home as well?
You get both. You get 6 months of lab rack access from our side. If you want it in your home lab, if you have 16 GB RAM in your laptop, my backend will help you to deploy in your home lab. So we have our backend team, technical lab trainers, who will do it on a Ultra Viewer or any desk on your laptop.
Okay. Yeah, I think I do have a server like wherein I have like 32 GB of RAM, so should be
Yeah, then
sufficient,
the
I
same
guess.
package we will deploy in your server.
Cool. Thanks.
Shall we drop?
Yeah, sure. If there is no concern or no question, yes, surely.
Thanks for the demo.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a nice day. Happy weekend. Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sagar. Have a good weekend. Bye.